Cultural appropriation is the hot new topic when it comes to fashion and culture lately. Semne Cusute has been at the forefront of heritage and immaterial heritage for the last 12 years, so we've seen it all happen. We will today tell you all about it and see if there's any way to solve this problem, if we can solve it in 30 minutes. I'm Gabriela, and I'm here with Ioana Cortunanu and Talia.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. So what we're looking at first is the Yves Saint Laurent Autumn Winter 1981 collection that features La Blouse Romaine, which is a Romanian blouse from Bukovina. And it is based on Henri Matisse's La Blouse Romaine painting from the early 1900s. And this blouse, we can see, is based more on the painting than the Bukovina blouse, which is also pictured to the side. And you can see the brushstrokes within the embroidery. But it also is crediting Romania.
Well, I like it, yet I wonder if I should feel a little bit offended because Romanian blouse is combined with a Turkish fez, and if it is to find problems, I can do that a lot. I mean, if you want to be disturbed by things and feel offended, you can find anything. In my opinion, Romanian blouse was a statement of Romanian women who historically wanted to preserve their identity, their religion, and their freedom. And they selected when and how to wear or how to borrow Oriental influences from the Ottoman Empire. So I'm not sure they arrived in Bukovina, obviously, because women in Bukovina didn't want to borrow them. So this is just an example about how you can be upset if you want on any image you see. I'm not offended, but I might as well.
If you try, you can be.
I could start on a debate on the internet and probably get a lot of attention talking about women's rights and freedoms and religions and so on.
I think this is one of the better examples of Romanian influence. Firstly, in keeping to the topic, because they did credit the Romanian blouse, there was no doubt about the inspiration. And Matisse also credited his inspiration. And I think his painting captures the essence of the shirt quite well. And I don't think it was ever meant to be a painted replica of the shirt. It's not meant to do that. And I think this is one way of using influence from a cultural item without trying to copy it. Because we'll see later on some examples where it's not so abstract. And I think making it more abstract helps the painting and the shirt.
So cultural appropriation is the act of taking or using things from a culture that is not your own, especially without showing that you understand or respect the culture. The term was first used in the 80s in academic spaces to discuss issues such as colonialism and the relationship between majority and minority groups. One of the things with cultural appropriation that is good to remember is how power dynamics come into play.
Well, for me, I heard this just a few years ago, and this term, and to be honest, reading on the definition, I ask you, please define respect. How can you prove that you show respect or you didn't show respect? And already the definition goes into.
I think there are some examples that are more easy to define. For example, I think we all agree that if you go dressed up on Halloween as another ethnic group, it's a bit disrespectful. So dressing up for a carnival as a minority group, it's disrespectful. But
changing your skin color.
Yeah,
that type of
blackface is disrespectful. But in the world of fashion design, it's a bit harder to show. And also this, how do you show that you understand a culture?
How can you prove that you understand the culture even if you are part of it? Because I'm sure so many Romanian people don't fully understand Romanian culture. What can you expect from a foreigner?
Yeah, these are all valid questions.
Yeah, so it's not so easy. Even the definition will push us into fog. So we can move on and see what happens next.
So this is a Tom Ford blouse from 2004. And this is a Vogue image featuring Adele. And this is a case where Tom Ford did not give credit to the Cebu blouse. And you can see that on the side there is an altizza, so it's not just a shirt with black stripes. And then the next picture is the Bihor vest, which was called out by Le Blouse Romain in 2017 that Dior had copied a Bihor blouse, and so they made a hashtag Dior or Bihor, not Dior.
Yeah, the image with Adele. I think the first time I saw it in 2012. I'm not sure if it was 2004. I've seen it in 2012, in February or something. And despite whatever you might comment, I can promise you it helped me. It was like a confirmation for me that I should start, and it's the right moment to start Semne Cusute, because I understood that knowing my people, knowing my culture, I knew that people will see a foreigner appreciating more than one foreigner. Adele wearing it, Tom Ford using it for inspiration, and will get a validation which we often need as a so-called minor culture when it's about our values. So often we disregard our own good things until we see somebody from outside validating them, using them, getting inspired, and so on. So I knew it's a useful image. I understood that it can lead to something good if I use it properly. I could have been upset and offended again, but I chose not to, but to take action.
These two were very famous examples of designers using Romanian inspiration and are not crediting it. They went a little bit viral. Also, I think because how famous Adele is and how famous the two brands are. They were not the only examples. Throughout the years, we've seen quite a lot of cases in which designers got inspired from Romanian shirts or other clothing pieces, but did not credit it. La Blouse Romaine had quite a lot of campaigns, give credit campaigns, highlighting this cultural theft in a way. As you can see in the middle of the image, Dior, a Bihor not Dior, that was pretty famous because it's such a catchy title. Just like Ioana said, I think the one good thing that came out of this is the fact that Romanians could see that their traditional clothing can be modern and interesting and appreciated by others, which a decade or two ago wasn't really the case. I think a situation in which we can see a bit of a mix-up of who do we credit and who do we leave out is this one. With Ulla Johnson, where she did, the designer, the brand did show artisans making the items, but they were artisans from a different culture. So
I think each brand will try, first of all, to put their customers first and please their customers. If your customers are interested in culture, in all these ethical issues, even if you don't do it for yourself, you have to do it for your customers. But if your customers, like, it doesn't matter if you are a huge brand, biggest brand in the world, if your customers don't care, you don't care. Your customers might be disturbed knowing that your expensive product was based on a blouse of a peasant somewhere in a village.
Yeah, I think this is also a good outcome of the give credit campaigns, because the ones that went viral might have influenced potential buyers of this unethical issue. We can't know if anybody stopped buying Dior because of the campaign, but it is good for people to be aware of such influences and be on the lookout when they choose a design that might be ethnic, because Romanian shirts, Romanian clothing is not the only one that is appropriated by brands. Up until this year, these campaigns have been pretty straightforward. The brands were asked to give credit of their inspiration, to mention their inspiration sources, and sometimes to take down the item, or to mention on the website, on the social media, what the inspiration source, or take down the item. Something different happened this year, and this is what we wanted to look at a bit more closely. In June, at the beginning of June, Louis Vuitton launched their beach collection, and in that collection there is a shirt that is featured all on their website, on their online store, and also in the videos and images promoting the collection. It is a very voluminous white shirt with black details. Romanians quickly noticed that this shirt resembles quite a lot the shirt from Sibiu, and another gift credit campaign was launched. Ioana, do you want to quickly tell us if this is a Sibiu shirt or is it a Louis Vuitton shirt?
Well, this is a Louis Vuitton shirt. For me, as passionate about Romanian blouses and ethnic clothes in general, I can very easily spot the differences, and I can tell you even more than that. It's not only, it's not a Sibiu shirt, it's a shirt inspired by a bridal shirt from Marginia Sibiului from, let's say, 60, 70 years ago. Point. Because in Marginia Sibiului, in the same villages, 2 generations before, it was a different fashion. So it is something that maybe people were used to see in the clothes in the old photos or in the dowries of their grandmothers, and they are probably wearing similar blouses as well, because even the new blouses are created based on this, and probably that's why they felt more touched, offended or not, touched in a way. But if it is to see if Louis Vuitton would have been inspired by a blouse created 150 years ago, I can bet with you that nobody from Marginia Sibiului would know that it's from Roșinaru, so on. And even more, this type of shirt was pretty much inspired also by the efforts created by Astra Association. So it's not a 100% peasant blouse. It received already some influence from a third party, let's say. And it was specifically created with the black and white, with these stripes, to stand out as a Romanian blouse in the vicinity, with Saxon villages, with mixed ethnic groups. More so, in the county of Sibiu, there are different ethnographic sub-regions. So this is not a typical shirt for all the county of Sibiu, but even more so, this type of blouse inspired communities from outside the county. So you might find similar look and feel look-alike blouses in Alba, in Mureș, in the south of Carpathian Mountains, Gorj, Vâlcea, maybe even Mehedinți. So it was already inspired by others, and it's already served by inspiration, standing out as a Romanian blouse. From my point of view, yes, it is inspiring. I knew that it's going to inspire more people. That's why we filmed already earlier this year about this type of blouses, because it is unusual. And I can only hope that it will inspire in the future more people. It has a European cut, not typical only for Transylvania and so on, but it's basically a smoked blouse with all the fabric gathered around the shirt. And this type of cut was largely used from Russia to England. So basically it's a European shirt from Transylvania, from Sibiu County, from Marginimea Sibiului, and it's not so simple. It wasn't born there like in a laboratory. It already received influences.
The press was quick to get this hot topic and share it everywhere. What was it like to see the Romanian press report on this? What did we see?
I guess everybody tried to say something different and to share their opinion, even if it's based on knowledge or not, but everybody can have an opinion, of course. So everybody tried to target a certain bubble on the social media. Some of them reacted and said that let's not allow anybody to steal our beautiful culture, and already other people made fun of it. Some people saw the economic value and pointed out the price. This way, in my opinion, encouraging the artisans who are doing the right work with a high standard of quality to increase their prices, because they are working on quite a low price at the moment. So they should raise the price. Some other people reminded all of us that we also have so many borrows from the French culture, because actually France has played a huge role in Romanian's history, helping us to form as a country, to unite, Unirea Principatelor. So France supported, even the birth of Romania was supported by France, and so many Romanian artists, writers and intellectuals found refuge after the Second World War in France. So it's not like so many words we use in our language, neologisms, I don't know how to say this in English, new words imported in Romanian are brought in from France. Very well as we speak English, all of us now, 100 years ago, everybody was speaking French here. And the last and the juiciest was the bubble making fun of the whole issue, asking Sulaiman Pasha to come and help us against the bad Westerners, foreigners that come to steal our goodies. There are examples in our history when we preferred to have an alliance with the Muslims against the Catholics. So I guess everybody collected a lot of views and reactions based on this subject, and that's why it was in everybody's attention.
What I saw in my bubble of the internet was that a lot of young people, instead of feeling connected to Romanian traditions, were pushed away.
Ashamed.
Yes, because they did not like all this scandal and fighting in public and arguing, especially since some of the things mentioned were a bit absurd. And we will talk about it later. Talia, what did you see abroad? What was reported, and how was this news received in other countries outside Romania?
I think outside of other countries, it got a lot more press than normal cases of cultural appropriation do. like you saw it in, for instance, in the US, you saw it in the Washington Post. I think it was in the British Telegraph. It was in French news. But it was kind of like a cut and dry appropriation case that you see all over it. So, like, Mexico has lots of appropriation cases, and it was reported in the same way, but was a much bigger case than, I would say that it was probably on the same level as the Dior case, the Dior Bihor case. And I think that there was some organization about potentially protesting outside of Louis Vuitton, but I don't know if that actually happened.
I saw the same thing, yeah. I don't know about the scale of the event, though, but I did see that it happened.
I'm disturbed a little bit by the titles because I can read here that Romania will ask Louis Vuitton to acknowledge UNESCO recognized blouse. Romania who? I wouldn't, I mean, it was not a referendum. Nobody asked the opinion of the true local communities who invented this shirt. The opinion of the specialist was totally neglected. And who is this Romania? I mean, I didn't feel represented, and I also wanted to move as far as possible by this scandal, because I perceived it as a scandal.
What was a bit worrying this time as compared to the previous times were the new requests that were made. If you read the whole post, not just the hashtag, you will find that now, instead of just asking the designers to give credit and then moving on, the requests were for designers to request the approval of communities before putting out an item inspired by that culture. Also, for there to be legal protection, for there to be the possibility to forbid unauthorized use of traditional shirts. Again, it was worded in a very vague way, so we do not know how the communities are defined. We do not know how unauthorized use is defined. I think my opinion is that it was worded vague on purpose to allow more flexibility for things that aren't for asking for more. And also one that is particularly interesting, brands should contribute financially to the communities. A percent of profits from such items should go back to the communities. Again, the communities are not defined in these requests, and also in reality, we do not have like a way to formally organize traditional communities, or we don't have like embroidery guilds in Romania, so who would benefit? Would the money go to the mayor? Would the money go to some association that set up camp in that community? Would the money go to this one peasant that lives in the third house on the left? Who does it go to?
I don't know, and precisely, I can speak now as a designer. If I am forbid to get inspired from one place, I would immediately go elsewhere. It's not like I want to ask the approval of a community to use my grandma's blouse for inspiration. I mean, I can have personal items I can inspire from them because it's my personal blouse. And on the other hand, I have experience, I can create my own patterns, traditional patterns, and yeah, I can register those, and those should be protected, but those that are seen in public, preserved by museums, should have a different status, I think.
Something that I thought about was who is defined as a community member. Are you still a member of a Cebu community if you've left and have been gone for 10, 15 years? Are you a member of a community if you live in Cebu, the city? Or and not like the countryside, like who is actually a member of a community and how do you define that?
And based on what? Because what if in your community this blouse is not sewn for 60 years? Then so what? You only have the old ones. Why would you have a say if somebody wants to revitalize your heritage?
And then also if you're thinking like, I guess a couple hundred, or not even, so like then do you have to reference the Astra Museum because they made it? Do you have to reference the kind of movement of Transylvania between like Hungary and Romania and like people moving around? Like who do you actually reference to and who do you consider a current community member?
And do you include people who don't sew and who don't wear these clothes but live there? Or do you just include people who make the clothes?
Who are connected, directly connected
Yes.
with the heritage?
Is it a
with
community of
creative?
artisans?
I have
Do
no
the
idea.
artisans need to register somewhere to be included in the community? It's all very vague, and I'm quite sure that it is vague on purpose.
I'm quite sure it's inspired from different, from similar
Yes.
events created to really small communities, isolated communities, well-defined communities in Southeast of Asia or in Africa somewhere. It does not apply so
Mexico.
easily to Romania and to Europe anymore. 6 million Romanians live abroad. Point. They're everywhere.
It also then means that like, so you have to get permission. So then does someone who grew up in Cebu but lives in, say, Chicago in the US, do they then have to get permission from this organization?
And what if the community does not like your design? Do you bribe them to allow you to sell it?
Well, if we say that Romanian blouse is like a book of wisdom with information encoded into this language of science, then we can apply similar rules like for writing. We can use quotation marks and use whatever lines are inspiring us, and we mention the author, right? And that's enough. Shall we move further also with writing and ask permission from the authors in order to code them? What if they forbid us to code them?
I can't imagine it would be
Shall we pay
pleasant.
them?
I can't imagine it would be pleasant for a scientist to have to approve every bachelor student to use their paper in their little university homework. That's not good use of the time of those scientists.
You know that a new organization would be created to process all of that
Yeah.
and employ people.
For a fee.
So I imagine that this will lead to a huge amount of bureaucracy, even more. And I feel Europe is suffocated by bureaucracy. And while we will kindly ask each other for permissions, United States and China and India will just take them, use them, sell them very cheaply, and we will not have permission to do it between Romania and France.
I think some of us noticed that the timing was quite interesting for this whole thing. Do you want to tell us, Ioana, what was going on in Romania at the time?
We were 1 week ahead the elections, local elections and European elections. And for the first time, it was surprising to see the Minister of Culture promising that we'll solve the problem somehow. For me, it sounded like one of those promises you make in the campaign and then nothing really happens because people lose attention. I don't think it's so much a coincidence, the launching of a summer collection in the summer. So, no, but the reaction could have been different. And I think it was a bit amplified by that.
Were you offended by the use of a blouse in a swimsuit collection?
No, why?
No.
Or because in a sense, if you think about like a traditional blouse, like blouses like this would have been worn as celebration blouses, like a wedding blouse, and in a sense it kind of degradates it to make it a traditional blouse, or to make the traditional blouse into a bathing suit cover.
No, not at all. If I could possibly translate to you all the songs and all the shoutings, the wishes spoken in a wedding, you would blush.
What I think is also important to highlight is that this shirt was not, it was just clothing. It wasn't used as a religious symbol. It wasn't like for ritual. It wasn't, I don't know, very special regalia.
It's a good protection against sun.
It was just clothing. For example, another case of cultural appropriation that was quite famous was when people going to Coachella, the music festival, wore Native American headdress. But in that case, the headdress is used by certain important people for certain ritual reasons. The traditional shirts in Romania are used as clothing. And it is wrong in the same way you can't wear the shirt with jeans. And well, I might be biased, but I wear my shirts with jeans and shorts and skirts. I wouldn't wear a vintage shirt to the beach because it would get damaged, but a new shirt, I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest assets. It's a protection against sun. So when I first saw images with this blouse by the pool, I thought, "Whoa, so cool!" Especially it's made of linen.
Yes.
So exactly
It was
like the
a
way
good-
we do it to protect us from the sun. So I
It was a
thought, "Wow,
good
it's
fabric choice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
But I do understand why some people got offended by it, because they view traditions and peasant life as being sort of ideal and sacred, and then you can't, I don't know. So we all have phones and internet, and we can go on Pinterest and find inspiration for anything. What do we do? What do we do with that? Is inspiration online reliable?
Yes, of course, because if you really like something, you'll study it properly, you can track it to as close as possible to the origin, and then you can contact people. You cannot claim that you don't know where to find it. Google Lens will do it for you.
On our search on Pinterest, we came across some images of Iwana that she didn't post there, and nobody asked her for consent. They were just posted there with no source. What was it like for you to find yourself online? Were you offended that someone used your image?
I didn't feel anything. It was interesting to see that somebody took the effort to make comments and say, "Hey, I know this person." So I like that there are genuine people who try to provide information when it's not in the first place there. So I appreciate these people, and many times I try to do the same.
So we were talking about Google Lens, a somewhat recent feature that helps you find any image. Whether you see it in the real world, you can take a photo with your phone, or online, if you have an image saved on your phone. Google can look it up and find similar results. And we found that it can find that a shirt with white fabric and black vertical stripes is linked to Sibiu. So can we find any excuses for designers not giving credit? Can we assume that they didn't know?
I wouldn't blame so much the designer themselves as persons. Let's go and talk about the brand, the producers.
Yes.
Because as designers, at least we were taught from the very first year that creation doesn't start from zero. Even God created the universe from chaos, not from zero. And it's perfectly normal to admire masterpieces from the past, study them properly, understand them, get inspired, and mention them. So by the age of 19, I already knew all this, and I'm pretty sure all designers have been through similar lessons in school. Why do they not apply this? Because they are not the ambassador of the brand. It's not them who write
The copyright.
the copyright, and it's also something else. This Louis Vuitton blouse, it's one of the many in a collection dedicated to strange volumes, right? So you can integrate it in a many. I'm sure all the pieces from that collection were inspired from something existing, right? If it is to create an entire collection based on a culture, then definitely you should mention it. But one piece out of 30, 40, I don't think so.
Well, I think they could have mentioned it. I don't think they can or should be legally required to, but it would have been nice.
It would have been, exactly, it would have been nice.
One issue that I have with this topic is that it completely, or not with the topic itself, but with the whole discussion that is made in the public eye about this topic, is that it completely leaves out all the cases when someone does give credit, but it's not okay. Where, for example, the bag that you see was launched like a month or so after the whole Louis Vuitton scandal. And yes, sure, it does have hashtag Sibiu and hashtag Marginimea Sibiului.
Yet.
But to me, going back to the definition of cultural appropriation from the beginning, to me, this bag shows that the designer did not understand the culture. As we've seen in our longer video about the shirts from Marginimea Sibiului, those stripes are not just ornaments. They do have a meaning. They are connected to the way the shirt is made, the number of, as we've discussed in our course, the number of elements embroidered on the side of the stripes have a meaning. They're not random. And taking the ornament and just slapping it up on a piece of fabric in a bag honestly shows me that the designer didn't really understand what they were doing. They just liked the look of it.
No, because you maybe forgot to mention that the exact design, it's not inspired from a community or from making a trip to the field and research and within the communities. The design is based on a drawing that I created myself and I posted on my blog. So it's based on a contemporary creation where the author is well known.
And alive.
Right? Alive. And more than this, my blog has a disclaimer that all the patterns are free to use for those who use them in a respectful way for the traditional blouses. So she did not credit the author until we asked her to, and she did not respect my disclaimer. So, and she continued to use the images simply just like that. So again, my impression is that Pinterest is the main source of inspiration for everything. I think using this hashtag Sibiu is just a form of checking a point, but not really respecting.
At the same time, if we Google looking for shirts from Sibiu, we will see tens and hundreds of ads for shirts for sale that have this description of traditional shirt from Sibiu, but are not traditional. Most likely they're not even made there. Some of them are machine made, imported from China, India, or another country. And they're sold as traditional, even though they're the furthest thing away from it. Looking at these two images of very almost form-fitting shirts with short sleeves, I appreciate the Louis Vuitton one much more, because at least that one had the appropriate volume. These ones are a disappointment. And I have not seen enough backlash online in the press criticizing these shirts as being a bad example of.
Because it would not bring you so much publicity.
Yes.
How can we say I fight the cheap blouses? No.
And because this falls in most of the guidelines of give credit. So it's giving credit to a community. It's potentially does it say working with artisans?
No.
Okay.
It's you have to view them on a case by case. Not all of them. I think the ones that do work with local artisans are like 1%,
Oh, okay.
if not less.
But it's basically it's fulfilling the guidelines that they originally set out, and so,
is that enough?
well, and now it's not enough for give credit, but it is doing what they said originally. But then the thing that I think about is if Louis Vuitton had given credit, would there still have been an uproar?
No, I don't think so. On what basis?
They didn't work with the communities.
They didn't ask for permission.
I mean, yeah, if we try to find things to complain about, we can find several. Especially like if we haven't had breakfast and we have a headache, yeah, we can find all of the things to complain about. We can even make up some. But I think also you were mentioning about the price that was mentioned in all the news about how expensive the Louis Vuitton shirt is and how that could potentially benefit the local artisans who might want to increase their prices. These particular shirts that are sold in souvenir shops, at fairs, online, everywhere, they are sold so cheaply that the local artisans can't compete. Because I have personally seen a lot of examples of people not wanting to buy handmade shirts made by genuine artisans because they thought they were too expensive and they could just buy much cheaper at a fair. And I don't think that's what we want for traditional clothing.
I wish there would be time in the future for a dialogue between big fashion brands and Romanian creatives, because we are open to it. I mean, some of us are, and Romania is not a place only for cheap and reliable workforce. But and for people who want a scandal, we want a dialogue, and we think we can contribute because we are also designers, and can't wait to see the next steps if the situation will evolve into it.
We'll leave you off with a homework, a lot of homework. This is not a very straightforward conversation because the topic is very complex. We can't solve cultural appropriation in an hour. But this whole viral thing that went on for the whole summer, or well, for 2 weeks, which is a lot for a viral thing, made us think about some issues that impact heritage and communities and design. And we want to know your opinion. We've shared some of ours in this video. We don't want to say too much to not influence you. Please tell us in the comments what you think about these topics, how you think such a system in which designers need to ask for permission before designing would work. Would that benefit the communities? Would that benefit traditional clothing? And how would it work, and what could we do instead? Would it be better to award cultural appreciation instead? Do we have to continue sanctioning cultural appropriation? Who is qualified to do these things? If you leave enough comments, we might make a second video discussing this and sharing more of our opinions on the matter. Until then, thank you for watching. Subscribe, to hear more about heritage and culture.
Thank you, Gabi. Bye.
Bye.